You're watching Suck Professor. Hello, everybody. It's me, Hank. I'm joined by...
Chris.
What the fuck? That's not James. What? So this is a very special episode. We're going to do a discussion analysis, but what's great about this one is that, unfortunately, James is... But that's not what's great. We miss James. James just...
We all miss James.
Yeah, but there's a good reason. We're talking about the maze is actually a brain theory, something that a commenter of ours pointed out. I don't know if you thought of it or not. Obviously, we do animation, and I got up early this morning, and I drew a cartoon for Chris. Let's see what he looks like. Boom! Look at him!
Oh, man.
See the white? That's the lab coat.
I do. That's a lab coat.
You got a pocket. You could put brains and stuff in there.
That's usually where I keep the brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you notice, though, let's get a close-up on the face.
Ah, nice. Yeah, I'm glad that you put that on there, because that's how I normally carve my eyebrows in real life. So.
Those are the world's dorkiest prison tattoos.
Yeah, that's right.
I figured, you know what? I've never seen someone who has words for eyebrows, and so I might as well just boil you down.
It's about time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a 5 o'clock beard. It's not that you just suck at chewing on pens. You always have a little bit of a... Chris is a little disheveled. He's like a mad scientist. You should see this office. It's filled with bubbling liquid colored containers and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. It's very cliche. But anyway, the reason I've got Chris on is because he is a professor of neuroscience.
That's right.
You're a real brain guy.
A real brain guy, yeah.
How long have you been studying brains?
I've been studying them a long time, almost 15 years now, in a professional capacity.
Professionally.
Yeah, I've always had a brain for 38 years.
Yeah.
Now, so it's pretty exciting.
I'd like to list your other most proudest achievement. You are my brother.
Yeah, right. I'm also very proud of that. I'm also a professor of brotherology.
Brotherology.
Yeah.
Yep. You've been my brother my whole life.
Yeah.
Do you remember when we dissected that mouse on that blue plate with a fork and a butter knife when we were little kids?
Yeah. That's where it all started.
That is. We were science kids. We had chemistry sets because we had irresponsible parents, filled with chemicals fucking in the toy chest and stuff. And we cut a mouse up, and I remember its eyeball rolling across that blue plate, and then I used that blue plate in college.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
It still had mouse juice on it, I think.
Yeah. Well, got all kinds of other juices. So anyway, Chris is a real neuroscience professor. You teach neuroscience. Can we say your school?
Yeah, sure. I'm a neuroscientist here at Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Professor.
Official. I'm an official professor.
Faculty.
Yes. Faculty.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's about time one of us succeeded.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And so you're going to weigh in on this maze brain thing.
That's right.
And so just to be clear, you're not a Westworld watcher.
I'm not yet. I tend to wait a good year or two for things to percolate a little bit so that I can... My time is limited, and I can only dedicate it to so many shows.
That's fair.
Yeah.
You should fire your children and quit your job and watch Westworld like me.
All right. Yeah. I'm excited about Westworld. Yeah, everything I've seen about it looks great.
Absolutely. It's a good show. You'll love it. So anyway, that's actually kind of good. You have a more unbiased view on
I'm bringing my neuroscience expertise without any expertise in Westworld.
Yeah. Legit expertise. So everybody's opinion is not worth as much as this guy.
Oh, God.
You could testify in court about brains. You're one of those people, which is awesome. So let's talk about the maze a little. This comes up all the time in the show. Everybody's seen it a million times. Just to show everybody some of the images. There it is in the dirt. You see it on the tarot card there on the left.
Oh,
Otherwise, it's just a horrifyingly gross image. That's on a coffin or a casket with one of the main actresses in the show, one of the main stars. That's again on a table. So this thing is really prevalent.
Right.
This is the shot that I sent you.
Yep.
We're going to get back to that. That's a branding iron. They even wanted to burn it into it.
Ah, okay.
So... Oh, this is a big top-down shot where two people... There's a dying girl in there. It's all fucked up. And the maze is carved into the ground for some reason. So, real quick, just to give credit, as I mentioned, this is the comment that triggered this whole thing. This guy says this. He doesn't think the maze is literal. It looks like a cross-section of the brain. The two wide openings by the feet look just like optic nerves. They even cross, just like the optic chiasma. Just look up brain. Okay, you can read it. The maze looks exactly like an artistic interpretation of that. Right. Zacchaeus 4. Thanks, buddy. So I was like, I know a fucking neuroscientist. I'm related to one. And let's talk to him. So anyway, does this ring true to you in any way?
Yeah, you know what? When you had mentioned that this comment referred to those mazes as being as actually being a cross-section of the brain, absolutely. That's the first thing I thought of. Not necessarily because of the optic chiasm, although I can kind of see exactly what he's talking about, but it made me think of a different part of the brain.
Okay, we got to get to that.
I totally see that.
So the chiasm thing, not really.
Well, no, I can kind of see it. There's a lot to be left for interpretation in where you might be looking in the brain.
That's the artistic part.
That's right. It's exactly. But I can also I see his point about the optic chiasma.
Okay, and just to clarify what an optic chiasma is, go ahead, you can explain it.
Yeah, so the optic chiasm, or the optic chiasma as it sometimes is called, is exactly where the optic nerves cross from the eyes as they project to the brain, and they cross. So most of the nervous system is crossed.
Yeah.
The eyes are no different. And so the eyes actually send their projections to the opposite side of the brain. Although
it's this X in the middle here.
It's the X in the middle. Yeah. Exactly. And chiasma is Greek for cross.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Is that why really attractive people do chiasma fit? Why does it cross? Why the fuck does the brain everything switch over to the side?
That's a great question.
No one has an answer to that?
No, I mean there's
theories.
Yeah, there's certainly theories, and actually this image that you're showing right now shows that it's not completely crossed. So there's certain parts of the retina that project to the opposite side of the brain, and then there are other parts that project to the same side of the brain.
That actually makes more sense. Yeah. So it's wired to both halves.
But when you look at it, it's definitely a big X. And so that's...
So this is a structural... Right. Okay, but that's not what the thing is about. We don't need to waste too much time with it.
Right.
So this is the brain image we're going to be looking at. I decided to do a little bit of photoshopping, herky-bajerky stuff with it. So let's flip it around. Whoa! Nice. Let's zoom it in a little, tilt it. I didn't tilt it all the way, unfortunately. Do some little stuff to manipulate some of the colors out of it and get it black and white. All there.
That's very nice. Awesome.
Yeah. Not having a girlfriend teaches a fellow lots of skills. It's pretty sweet. So this is what I sent Chris. Well, I sent you just the photo of the
That's
thing,
right.
But, you sent me back this.
Right.
Now this is really the meat of our video here. So you instantly recognized, or you instantly noticed similarities.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that your commenter is totally right on, that it does look like an artistic representation of the brain.
Yeah.
You can see like the outer parts of the maze actually sort of looks more like the layers of the cortex.
Okay.
So, and what you're looking at, this is a coronal cross-section of the brain. So someone had taken a human brain, cut it from the front part of the brain all the way to the back, making very thin slices, and then put them onto glass.
But up and down.
So up and down.
Like a loaf of bread.
Yeah, it's like a loaf of bread, exactly. Yeah. Yes, so that's coronal.
Okay.
And so this is really kind of in the middle part of the brain that we're looking at here. And it's been stained with a stain that just labels all the cell bodies.
Oh, okay.
And so the outer part, the very dark purple part, that's where all the cell bodies are in the cortex.
Okay.
And that looks an awful lot like kind of like the maze that's represented over on the left.
You don't mean just the perimeter of purple though, right?
Yeah, I mean the perimeter of the purple. That's the outer part of the cortex. That's the gray matter that we refer to.
Oh, right. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see. Okay, but what about this down here, this kind of triangular shape down at the bottom, this thing?
Yeah,
I mean, it looks like it kind of corresponds. I also noticed the arms of the man.
Exactly. Yes.
That's sort of right there.
I think the arms of the man sort of represent more, it looks an awful lot like thalamus, which is the central part.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of crossing of axons that happen at that point.
Okay.
And then the very, very bottom part is, this is probably pons or hypothalamus, but it just looks like a lower part of like basically brainstem.
Is that the amygdala?
Like the beginning of the brainstem. That is not the amygdala. No.
Like when you got to beat up an alligator, you got to use your amygdala, right?
That's right.
Is that how that works?
No, it's not how it works at all.
What's the one? Isn't that one that gets you all raged up?
Yeah. The amygdala. Yeah, it's the amygdala is the fear center.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But it's actually part of the cortex.
Oh, that's how the cortex is this outer area. Okay.
That's right. Well, it's an internal lower part of cortex.
Oh.
So it's not in the upper parts, but it's more closer to here, where hippocampus is. It's around that area. There.
Okay. So you see this here, right here, these angles. I mean, that corresponds pretty well.
Yep.
What about this diamond-shaped thingy?
Okay, I don't know.
You seeing that?
Yeah, maybe that would be the third ventricle.
Well, what's this thing right here?
Yeah, that's the third ventricle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I could see that.
Yeah.
I think that's the third ventricle.
Yeah. Like if this wasn't just part of a big show, you would see this and be like, "Oh, that's like a goofy brain some guy drew."
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the world's worst children's menu maze.
Yeah. And so the other thing about the little man, that could be something that really is just showing that this is a maze, right? But at the same time, that also got me thinking about how inside our brains we have something called the homunculus.
Okay.
Homunculus is Greek for little man. And so we have a representation of our body that's written out in the brain. And that made me think that maybe that's what they're trying to represent, is some kind of homunculus.
Oh, so I know a little about that. You and I made a video about science for that thing.
Right.
So,
exactly.
But go a little deeper about what that means written out on the brain.
So
different body parts are
different
located
parts of the body.
in different spots. Yeah.
Exactly. So different parts of the body are represented on different parts of the brain.
Okay.
And so the things that are more sensitive, like your hands and your lips, get greater representation because you have to have the processing power in order to distinguish, say, very fine points that are segregated.
Okay. So the more sensitive things get more
They
space.
get greater space in the brain.
Let's pull up a homunculus picture. You can just see how crazy they are. You can't take that seriously, though. I mean, who looks at that and goes, "Yeah, that looks like science"? I mean, come on.
But that's how it is. Yeah, the brain is an amazing thing.
It's a concept of how our minds devote resources to those parts.
That's exactly right.
Is that fair?
That is very fair.
Wow, I explained that way better than I thought. Yeah. So that's actually interesting you bring that up because you don't know what this man thing is.
No, I don't.
The whole notion of the show, and you know this, is about the search for consciousness.
Right.
Or the emergence of consciousness.
Yeah.
True consciousness.
That's right.
It's not just about banging robots.
No, because you're working with these artificial beings that are in this play space.
And the role that memory plays in stimulating consciousness and also how pain defines a person. So the man thing, though, actually kind of relates because when I had made a little animation, look, there he goes. Oh, he's in. He's all the way in. What do you think about that?
Tell Mom I'm not wasting all my time in Hollywood.
Yeah, so there's the guy standing in the brain. But that's not how the homunculus.
That isn't how the homunculus works. But it's an artistic rendition, so I can kind of see that.
Yeah. So let's. Anything else that jumps out though, as far as this part goes?
No, I think I totally see your commenter's point.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I also overlaid it real quick. There you go. And there's some, same size thing. And then I'm gonna fade it. There it goes. Look. It kind of lines up. That doesn't really add anything to it. The guy's he's back home.
The point.
He's all back home. All right. So, so the whole part about consciousness in the show is the two creators of the park. One of them we have not seen yet. Maybe it's sort of a mystery about who he is. But he had this theory called the bicameral mind. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of that?
I have not.
Okay, so maybe are you really a neuroscientist? Really? The bicameral mind. So as it's explained in this one scene, this is Dr. Ford on the right. He's like he's the evil genius of the whole park.
Right.
Let's go ahead and zoom in on it so it's a little easier to see. That is a pyramid of consciousness. So he's explaining his partner's old theory. It's built around the bicameral mind theory, which I looked up Wikipedia. You guys can see it. It's the bicameralism, the philosophy of a two-chamberedness. A hypothesis in a psychology that argues that the human mind once assumed a state in which cognitive functions were divided between one part of the brain, which appears to be speaking, and a second part which listens and obeys. A bicameral mind.
Okay.
Any response?
Yeah, I have to say up front, I am a nuts and bolts neuroscientist.
Yeah.
Where I look at how brains get wired up and connected. So I'm a developmental neurobiologist.
Okay.
So neuroscience is a huge field, and there are cognitive neuroscientists who would be able to talk about this with a lot more sophistication than I can.
We're exiting the part that you could testify in court.
Absolutely, about. Like I can talk about different parts of the brain.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the more philosophical aspects of cognitive neuroscience, I got to at least put that caveat.
Of course.
So
this is a bunch of psychology
absolutely,
bullshit.
Yes.
But go ahead.
I can kind of see that. I mean, there's a lot of discussion about how human cognition is often about that there is an internal dialogue that happens between the different aspects of human personality.
Okay.
And that it may actually be literal activity that's happening in the brain. So one thing that happens when there's discussion, if you're talking with someone, you're not just getting those audio centers that are getting activated in the brain, you're actually eliciting all kinds of other centers. The visual centers get activated. There are frontal and prefrontal areas that get activated.
Yeah.
So it becomes this very complex interaction for just listening to or talking with someone. And some of these same kinds of things happen when someone is sitting there thinking.
Yeah.
So you can have visual centers that get activated by just thinking about it.
So it's like
you replay those experiences and those emotions literally in the brain.
Right.
and that through activity, through neural activity.
What is neural activity chemical or electrical, or a mix of both?
It's an electrochemical thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's an electrical charge that happens.
Yeah.
But that is carried through ions, charged chemicals. Okay. So it isn't like electrons firing through the brain. Yeah. So whenever you see, like a 3D schematized version of neurons, and you see like a little pulse of electricity flowing down, it doesn't work like that at all.
Okay, so that scene in The Walking Dead where they went to the CDC and the zombie brain.
Those are synapses, electric impulses in the brain that carry all the messages. They determine everything a person says, does, or thinks from the moment of birth to the moment of death.
I know this.
They show it blue,
yes.
and it goes, the spark of life is fading.
Dark, lifeless, dead. The frontal lobes, the neocortex, the human part, that doesn't come back. The you part.
And then it comes back a little bit red.
Yes.
Is that how it works?
That actually is not how it works at all.
Okay. Basically, it's essentially what's going on in our head is a giant ghost orgy between all these things talking to each other.
I wouldn't call it a ghost orgy. No.
Okay. But I think that sounds like that's metaphorical to speak like we are listening and hearing, because we can't.
Right. Yeah. It's actually more than metaphorical.
Yeah.
So when we speak and hear things, of course, audio centers get activated and motor centers get activated.
Yeah.
But when we are just thinking about things, those same things get activated.
Okay. So if I'm thinking about hearing,
some of them will still get activated when you start to have not necessarily the specific audio centers, but some centers that are activated during when you're hearing something. Yeah. They can get activated in other ways when you're having some sort of internal dialogue.
Okay, and that the notion of the speaking to another it can be interpreted as God speaking to you. So they almost take orders, so to speak. Sure. But that they also go into the thing though, because they try to do that to the robots, because they could make them fake conscious or fake the appearance of consciousness, which is sort of this whole thing with the AI as it's going to develop in the real world where we all live. But the other outcome of that was that some of them lost their mind. They interpreted the voices, their own thoughts, as like a schizophrenic reaction in a way, and they kind of went crazy. So it was like programming errors, essentially, because they're programming these flesh robots. Yeah. So they also go into more detail, though, about the bicameral mind pyramid. So the bottom of the pyramid is memory. The second layer up is improvisation. And the third one is self-interest. So if a robot is demonstrating these things, it means they're on their way closer to that hallowed goal of being fully conscious. And what we don't know, this is one of the big mysteries of the show, is what's at the top of the pyramid. We don't really know what that is. And so the main theory, and it's kind of pretty clear, is that it's the bicameral mind, because the guy, this is what he based his whole thing around, and that the brain is actually kind of what's in the center, or this thing in the center. So the man in the maze is more of like the human soul, I think. This is just interpretation here. Because it also works figuratively with the maze metaphor.
That makes sense
that
to me.
They're trying to locate something they have yet to find.
Sure.
And that's the center of the maze, but actually it's a visual, it's a smart trick, I think.
Sure.
Or not, trick's not the right word.
You can think of the brain as being this the computer machine, and that they have built in these flesh robots. And but to have a man inside directing things is then achieving consciousness.
Sort of,
I can see that. Sure.
Yeah, like it's a human representation, not really like a Men in Black.
I don't mean a literal little man.
That little green alien that's like driving the cab driver or whatever.
Exactly.
The guy from Monk.
Right.
So no, that's not. That's a whole different alien. There's the cat's.
I know who you're talking about.
Galaxy on his necklace. Any of this sound like crazy bullshit to you, or what? What do you think?
No, some of it sounds like crazy bullshit, but I kind of get it. This seems like this is definitely a clear interpretation with real possibility. I mean, we won't know until we get further.
So they reveal the show,
obviously. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think it's pretty obvious that the maze is the brain cross section.
It sure looks like to me.
Yeah. I don't know how you could say it's not. Not whatever that. Then what interpretations do you draw from that conclusion is a whole nother bunch of speculation. But I think that's what it is.
Right. No, I think your commenter is right on. Actually.
Because there's multiple characters seeking the center some with more deliberation than others, or more deliberately than others. Some are just sort of pulled to it because they have these sort of robotic memories that are sort of being called up from their ancient histories because they've been reused as characters in this park over and over, and lots of bad things that happen to a lot of them, so they kind of have painful memories in general. But others are humans. There's a human guy looking specifically for the maze. There's something there. We don't know if there's an actual location, or we don't know if this is purely metaphor.
Sure.
So anyway, real quick, and then I'm gonna end with asking you what consciousness is, although we've kind of already talked about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I want
easy question.
Yeah, I want your answer. Does that look like anything to you?
That looks like a kind of a roll or a piece of dough with a bunch of holes stuck in it.
Looks like a pastry.
Yeah, like a like a big donut missing its frosting.
yeah. It looks like if you left a donut out in the rain, and then
some kids shoved a bunch of little holes in it to suck out the filling. That's what it looks
the jelly's
like, with a straw.
Yeah, all the jelly's out.
Right.
Or if you squeeze it real hard, you get squirted in the face with jelly, like one of those kids games.
Yeah.
There's a close up of it. So this is actually is this a neuron?
That doesn't look like a neuron to me.
All right.
No.
Everybody who's watching this is probably calling out my bullshit here. So this is actually the Orion thing. I mean, this came up, and it's related to this like satellite thing that had to happen. So I was just curious, though, if maybe because you have this neuroscience training.
Yes.
You see this.
If I see some neuroscience here, the only thing that I would say that looks a little neuroscience-y, but I think that actually looks probably like the underside of a turtle.
That's what it is. Oh, yeah. That's the turtle. That's
okay.
a turtle bottom. And it's a carving, it's a wood carving.
It also sort of looks like the top of a human brain. You know, with the central sulcus. Or sorry, there's a central sulcus in the midline, but
it's like if you sliced off someone's head, like an inch.
No,
and a half
not
down.
if you were holding their brain in your hand and you were just looking at the top.
looking down at the
That's
top.
kind of what it looks like. But the shape of the dots and the lines, that doesn't look anything like.
Yeah, well, I went ahead and filled in some of the dots here. So there you go. We got green ones, orange ones. I didn't know how to differentiate because it's wood holes. Or a bunch of red ones. I mean, this is the Orion thing. So then there's the blue lines.
Sure.
And if you keep going,
it's Orion's shield.
Yeah. We'll see. There's Orion now.
Yeah.
So we got Orion. That's pretty cool. And I put some yellow dots on there. This is all Photoshop, by the way. Check out my
amazing.
OkCupid, everybody. Purple lines, and then let's get rid of that thing. Now look, we're gonna do a little thing. Whoa, spin it and let it go into place, and that's the Orion shell. This is really not having to do with the brain and the consciousness stuff. I was hoping that you'd see a neuron or some sort of kooky brain shit in that turtle.
No, but it totally looks like Orion.
Yeah, and it fits with the storyline of how they're like using a satellite thing. The one interesting thing is there's 4. There's a guy who goes, hey, there's Orion's belt has 3. That thing has 4. So whatever the fuck that means.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you this, brother, from the same mother. What is consciousness? Tell me.
Easy.
Tell our listeners.
Yeah, I wish I could answer that. What is consciousness?
Well, you're from the perspective, you don't have to, there's no right answer.
Of course, yeah, because, you know, even from a scientific...
I'll be very disappointed if there's a heaven. I do not want to see any of those motherfuckers again.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Turn the lights off, consciousness. That's it. I'm going back to where I was before.
But then, you know, heaven, hell, is sort of irrespective of consciousness.
That's very
consciousness
true.
Is
or the soul.
From a neuroscientist's perspective, is that we would consider consciousness to be the behaviors that show self-awareness and of yourself and in relation to other beings. That then also has all the complex interactions of morality and empathy, sympathy, those kinds of aspects.
Okay.
And you could say that showing those behaviors is consciousness. And so when you're asleep, you're not conscious because you're not showing those behaviors.
Oh, man. Well, that means...
Or if you are under anesthesia.
Right.
Or if you are in a coma.
So in a simple way, it's just being awake. But there's also a much deeper...
But animals can also be awake, but we wouldn't necessarily say that, simple animals are conscious.
Yeah.
Because they don't necessarily have like, say, an earthworm. Doesn't have self-awareness. It has some limited self-awareness. Certainly doesn't have complex interactions with other earthworms.
And like a lot of people from our hometown.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so there's not conscious... So we have... chimpanzees will recognize themselves in mirrors.
Right.
Is that a sign? I mean, It sounds like consciousness is a gradient, though.
So that
there's
the
no
mirror,
easy
absolutely,
definition.
yeah. The mirror test is often used as one way of establishing whether an animal has some exhibition of consciousness.
Yeah.
So the mirror test is you put an animal in front of the mirror, but you've put a mark on their face someplace so they can't see it. And if the animal looks into the mirror and then starts doing what's called mark-directed behavior, so starts scratching at their forehead, then they have some sort of recognition that the image of the animal that they see in the mirror is actually themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not all animals do that. In fact, most animals don't, but there are some that do.
Yeah.
Chimpanzees, it seems like elephants are able to do some of this.
Oh, really?
Dolphins, and then even magpies.
What the hell's is that a bird?
A magpie is a kind of like crow.
Wow.
It's part of the corvus.
That sounds like if you were raised in a cornfield and you puked on prom night. I puked up a magpie. She's pregnant now.
Oh, God.
So really, the birds do?
Yeah.
There's some really smart birds.
There's a study that had shown that magpies show self-directed behavior.
Wow. Yeah. Maybe that'll be season 2 of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Keep your eye out for magpies.
Crazy evil bird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think you answered that correctly. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Consciousness. What do you guys think? Tell us in the comments. What is consciousness? So this show is about robots becoming conscious. Do you think we will reach that in our world? Like, will we create consciousness?
Right. It's a great question.
Yeah.
So
not a good way to wrap up a video, but good question.
But there's the Turing test, which is one of the classic ways of testing AI.
Yeah.
So you might be able to make a program that would end up looking exactly like what how a human would respond.
Yeah.
But it's still programming.
And a human,
but of course,
the test is that if you can't tell, if you don't know, if you can't identify it,
if you can't tell that it's artificial or human, then you've achieved artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems kind of BS-y to me.
It does seem a little bit BS-y.
Because it's too subjective. It's just leaving someone's perception up to the thing. I know you can do like a large sample size and glean information from that.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, but will we ever reach a point where we have, like, because kind of the big moral question behind this show is it okay to do what they're doing to these robots?
Right.
They're very realistic. They're made out of flesh and bones. They're printed in these big weird milk bath things. It's crazy. It's like all this.
Yeah, I've seen trailers. I've seen
a lot of kooky shit. Sorry for spoiling the whole thing. For
that's fine. Yeah.
It's your fault for reproducing and getting a real job. So is it moral? Is it okay to hurt a robot that simulates consciousness, or are they actually conscious? And then I guess I want to know why does it hurt so much to be alone all the time?
Yeah, that's a separate question.
Pain is a big part of the show too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be funny if one of the robots was just lonely, just a sad guy who has a YouTube channel, and they're like, "Hey, look, it's the man in sweatpants. Look at him ordering pizza. That's what he does." So okay, all right. Well, you don't know. You don't fucking know.
No, of course not. Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is obviously we can see a robot that looks like a human. And we're designed to feel for another person.
Exactly.
Some of us are. So not the current president-elect can't do that, but most of us can see another human and feel feelings about that person.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks to evolution.
Yeah.
But say you develop a system of particles that's so complex like a brain, but it's all living inside a computer system somehow. Right. And that's a consciousness thing.
Right.
Is that conscious? Can that be?
Can it be? It's a great question. I mean, I tend to think of human beings as very, very, very complex behavioral algorithms. Yeah. And that have this level of self-referential learning capacity and empathy, but it's still behavioral algorithms.
Right.
Could you program that? I can. Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
Stephen Hawking's argument about artificial intelligence is there's nothing about, and I could be totally fucking this up, but there's nothing about physics that says we can't eventually organize particles in a way that's as complex as the brain's particles are organized, if not more complex.
Sure.
There's no limit to that. There's nothing says that's the limit.
Right.
The way our brains are. So
absolutely.
Maybe we'll have robot overlords one of these days.
Yes, I think it's a distinct possibility.
I just want to get one of those Teslas that drives my car so I can sleep on the way to McDonald's for breakfast. Yeah. Wake up in the drive-thru and they're yelling at you through the... Okay. All right, well, I guess we're good. This probably went on a little too long, as every video we ever put on this channel does.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
sorry. Your shows go longer than the actual episodes that you break down.
Yeah. I don't care. I mean, I do. Our initial thought was, yeah, we'll be like a half hour. We'll just burn right. No,
not
way.
when you break down, every 10 seconds of the show.
It's more frequent than every 10 seconds.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I thought.
Why don't you get it together?
Yeah.
You should fire your family and start watching my videos. Yeah, you're right. It's really dumb.
No, it's great. It's awesome.
We get comments that say, "I love how long it is. I don't care. I'll go longer."
It's
and
not for everyone.
Lots of comments go, "Fuck you! Why are you an asshole? Why are you doing so?" One guy's the craziest comment was, "Oh, look at this guy just milking YouTube for views." No, 2-hour video is not milking.
No, it's not.
He could have been talking about the clickbait booby thumbnail, but I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, thanks for coming on to the show. I hope everybody say hi to my brother on Twitter.
Hi, everybody.
No, come on, dumbass. Haven't you ever done a plug? Jesus Christ.
On Twitter, yeah. So afferent_input.
Is that a brain term?
It's a brain term.
Okay, don't explain it.
No.
I'll put a link in the description. And James will obviously be back, everybody. If anybody's worried, he's don't worry. I'm just traveling. I'm visiting this guy. He's got a house. He's got children. He's got some fucking animals that live with him too. Dogs. And it's fun.
They don't actually fuck.
It's fun. Thanks for finally getting a guest bedroom.
Yeah. Right. You're not having to sleep outside in the tent anymore.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice. I still pee outside the way.
I know. We make you pee outside.
Yeah.
With the rest of the animals.
Well, I'm on the second floor, so I just open the window and let it go. Sorry about your lawn. All right, so there you go, everybody. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Did you learn something? Do you want to ask my brother some questions, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a follow-up or something. What do you think about the brain as a maze theory? There's not really any conclusions to be drawn, but according to a real neuroscientist, it absolutely does resemble a cross-section of a brain. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on. We're going to have a good turkey for Thanksgiving?
I think so, yeah.
We fucking better.
We'll look at the brain.
Want a high five?
Nice.
James's high fives are better than yours.
Oh, that hurts.